طلع الترفاعي هون، طلع الترفاعي مقبول.
That was the scene in Beirut, Lebanon this morning, as the biggest massacre in history just occurred there. As these Israeli attacks, they say, were the largest in years, and there's massive amounts of civilian casualties. Wow. Everyone, Johnny here, Don't Speak News. Well, this is news they're kind of speaking about, but not to the intensity that this was. Mainstream is not doing it justice, but wow. Hundreds dead, hundreds missing, hundreds wounded, of course. May get into the thousands, we don't know. But since it's over there in quotation marks, right, the West doesn't care about it. And Iran is coming out now and saying that, this is a big violation of the ceasefire agreement that they had. Pakistan is saying, yeah, it is a violation. And the US and Israel are saying, oh, we never agreed to stop fighting in Lebanon, when they did, of course. So once again, the US is caught lying and reneging on their agreements. Did they expect anything different? Probably not. So this war with Iran isn't over, and the intensity will increase. That's what I wrote this morning on don'tspeaknews.com. As I said, the alternative media is a bit too giddy about this ceasefire deal with Iran and the U.S. The air bridge from the U.S. to Europe continues to ferry troops and supplies to the Middle East. Plus, the UAE's major Habshan gas facility, 3 Kuwaiti power plants and water desalination facilities, and now a pumping station in Saudi Arabia's key east-west oil pipeline have been allegedly attacked by Iran today. I say allegedly because these attacks may have been false flags committed by Israel to sabotage the ceasefire, as they're not happy about it, as one of their politicians stated here. Now, Israel is also pounding targets in Lebanon, as I just showed you. They're leveling entire blocks of apartment buildings trying to assassinate one man. Lebanon was supposed to be included in the ceasefire, but Israel says we'll do what we want. Iran says it's willing to completely walk away from the ceasefire unless Netanyahu stops bombing Christians in Lebanon. Now the White House is denying that Lebanon was part of the ceasefire deal. So this peace won't last long, guys. Don't get your hopes up. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. This war will continue, and the intensity will increase as it's Armageddon time, but it's unfolding differently than what we expected. And I say that because of all the left behind movies and books that told a false story based on the dispensational gospel that is not taking place. And that was never taught in the church until the 1830s. But anyway, all this is a break in the action so the U.S. can assess the damage and rearm and resupply, which they're doing right now. When it resumes, I expect the intensity from both sides to increase exponentially. So then, that Saudi Arabia critical east-west crude oil pipeline, which transports oil from the Gulf Coast to the Red Sea, was struck in a drone attack on Wednesday, hitting a pumping station along the route. This incident occurred just hours after the United States and Iran announced a ceasefire in their conflict. Damage to the pipeline is currently being assessed, and so far, Saudi Aramco hasn't said anything. But in my opinion, this is maybe or probably an Israeli attack on the Saudi pipeline in order to sabotage the ceasefire. So now here we are with Trump declaring peace yet again, and yet I believe everyone involved, including the Iranians, knows that this was simply a pause. We also know what the Bible says about the subject, and we've been watching it play out in front of us in real time. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. And that's what we see happening right now. Like I said, there may be pauses in the fighting here and there to give everybody a breather, but then it goes right back to fighting again. So stay ready and keep praying and keep prepping. This isn't over by a long shot. Be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Ephesians 6:10. And then we have this story, which made me shake my head yet again. Vice President J.D. Vance was confronted by the Vatican with a report that the Pentagon allegedly threatened the Vatican with military force because of comments they made about Trump. So Vice President J.D. Vance on Wednesday was confronted with a recent report that the Pentagon threatened the Vatican with military force. A Monday report from the Free Press detailed the rocky relationship between President Trump's White House and Pope Leo, the Holy See's first U.S.-born pope. According to the report, the Pentagon invited the Holy See ambassador to the U.S., Cardinal Christopher Pierre, for a meeting in response to a recent speech by the Pope. During that meeting, U.S. officials reportedly complained about that speech and took exception to Pope Leo's indirect shots at the president. One of those officials, the report continued, even referenced the Avignon papacy of the 14th century, a period largely defined by the French crown imposing its will to influence the Catholic Church. While speaking to the media in Budapest, Hungary, Vance was asked by a reporter if the story was correct. Vance began by stating he didn't know who Pierre was. When he was informed that Pierre was the former Holy See ambassador, that appeared to jog his memory. Okay, I've met him before, Vance continued. Sorry, I just didn't remember the name. I've never seen this reporting. I'd actually like to talk to Cardinal Christopher Pierre, and frankly to our people, to figure out what actually happened. I think it's always a bad idea to offer an opinion on stories that are unconfirmed and uncorroborated, so I'm not going to do that. Independent reporter Christopher Hale later added that the Vatican viewed the mention of the Avignon papacy as a threat. So, yeah, an indirect threat from the Trump administration to the Vatican. Wow. I mean, it's just one thing after another with this administration and their insult to the Christians and to the Catholics. It's unreal to see a sitting president mocking religion this way. And now threatening the Vatican with military force? Unbelievable. Unbelievably juvenile. And then, like I said, scenes of devastation here in Lebanon. I'll put the link up to this story if you'd like to see it, but there it is. Scenes of devastation after Israel bombs Lebanon 100 times in 10 minutes. It's hard not to cuss on this one. I mean, just wow. You can look at the videos if you like. I showed you 7 seconds of one. The Israeli strikes rained down on residential areas and estates in central Beirut today without warning, hours after a ceasefire was announced between the U.S. and Israel. Of course, Israel said the agreement does not extend to its conflict with the Iranian-backed group Hezbollah in Lebanon. Well, that's not what everybody was saying last night, but anyway, that's what they're saying today. Because Israel and the U.S. change their story nonstop, right? Whenever it suits them to do so. And that, folks, will be it for now. I think that's enough. So don't forget, don'tspeaknews.com is home base for all that we do. I put all kinds of stories here that I just don't, well, I can't put anywhere else because they'll get taken down. You know, we've been taken off of Patreon. We've been taken off of YouTube twice. Both channels had 15,000 plus subscribers. And they took us down. Then I stayed away from YouTube for a couple of years, but we're back now. So if you want to find us on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Telegram, you can click on this tab up here. And all the places to find us around the interwebs are right there. If you want to support the channel, we are listener supported only. Click on the channel support tab and all the ways to support us are linked right through here. We have Cash App as well. And Venmo is down at the bottom. And if you want to subscribe or contact me, click on this tab here. You can type in your email, click on subscribe, and every time a new post comes up, you'll be notified. And Don't Speak News at Proton Mail is how you get in touch. And that will be it for now. Stay prayed up and prepped up, guys. This isn't over, like I said, by a long shot. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.